You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So my skin's been doing some weird things the last 6 to 8 weeks, but I think it's just been stress management. And I also haven't been being as mindful of washing it when I should, or using my innocent moisturizer as much as I should. I just haven't. I've really fallen off the taking care of myself train. So I'll right that ship soon. But one of the things that bothers me is when suddenly you've been using a product for a little bit and then suddenly it just doesn't work for you anymore. As
your
if
face is dry or something and
just
itchy.
As if your skin decided to reinvent itself some sort of just midlife crisis monster. And I hate it. It's weird to me that suddenly you can have just a moisturizer that had really worked for you, or a face wash that had really worked for you, or an eye cream that had really worked for you, suddenly makes you feel all crackly or patchy or scaly or something, Do
you have a skincare regime?
Well, a little bit. I'm pretty low maintenance compared to a lot of other folks. I don't use I don't do any peels or masks or anything like that. That's I'm pretty low key, but I do have I wash my face and I put on a moisturizer, and then at the end of the day I wash my face and put on a moisturizer, ideally. And sometimes if I'm just late, just cheating and it's really late and I'm too tired, I'll take a micellar wipe and wipe it all off.
Yeah. AG, what do you do?
Mine is a bit more steps than that.
Ooh, how many steps?
No,
I'm intrigued now.
No surprise.
But I'm not that I'm not married to any particular products. I'll try whatever seems trendy or whatever people are talking about to see.
And we should, and people who haven't seen you, it's remarkable because you are 75 and you have the skin.
Yeah, but you look 30, so it's great.
You look 30. It's beautiful. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I always wash and then tone and then put 3 or 4 products on serums, some light moisturizers, and then you end with a heavier moisturizer and then maybe an oil tap on.
I love the oils.
If it's winter and I'm feeling pretty dry.
Do you tap with the ring finger or do you?
No, I don't. I don't. Yeah, maybe I do a little bit with the eye stuff, but with the oils, I press it into my face with my.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I don't. Okay, I just remember going through, I don't know what age I was where it just started seeming like the worst possible thing you could do is not wash your face before you went to bed. You'd read something and they would be just what are you, suicidal? What is wrong with you?
I think that just causes your face to break out, and I think the key thing to me is wearing sun protection, either in the summer, wearing a hat or something, or sunscreen. I think it's really important to do some kind of consistent sun protection because sun damage is really bad.
Have you seen those pictures of Nicole Kidman at the beach?
No.
Since she's Australian, you assume they go to the beach a lot. She's in full sleeves, giant hat. I mean, to be fair, she's red hair and very pale skin, but it does not look like she's going to the beach at all. She is just there's no skin. You can't see skin. But maybe in Australia it's worse. I don't know.
Yeah, I would assume that the sun's pretty bad. Sophia Loren also was very adamant to not be in direct sunlight exposure. Even though she also always had a tan, I always found that a little bit weird.
Oh well, that's
How do you always have a tan, but you
Well, could that have been
exposure?
makeup?
I mean, I guess that's a little risky. like the makeup kind of blotches off
But that's a whole like the whole idea of when, different fads are like looking pale or looking gaunt or I mean, I don't know if this is true because it was a fiction book, but for some reason in my head, I assume that fiction writers look stuff up, which I shouldn't, right? But anyway, it was in like the people were at the Globe Theatre when Shakespeare was alive. And for the aristocracy, it was popular to have your teeth rotting because that meant you could afford sugar.
Wow.
Now,
our benchmarks of privilege are so interesting.
Well, I was just going to say, like, when I was like a kid in the 80s, like, and lived in Tawasin, it was like some families went to Hawaii every Christmas and coming back with that Christmas tan.
Yeah. That was a big bonus. I remember that too. Yeah, you were somebody. Thing. Yeah, you were really, look at you in that tan. Yeah, I know. Now I can't, I mean, you do, I think now when you say it like that, it makes me wonder, like, is it the darker skin tone, or does it that it indicates that you've been doing something great, right? Was it that you were at the beach? I know you were at the beach, or I know you were, like, if you have a summer like a tan in the winter, we know you were somewhere.
Yeah.
And so we assume you've got, like you said, a high status.
The sun-kissed glow, I think, is definitely like well, I mean, for white people, it's a status symbol. For every other person of color, it's like something to hold against them, because colorism is a thing. So, that's another. You know what? I love how literally everything is comes down to class. Even what we're going to talk about. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And wow, what a treat we have for you.
Come with us down to Firefly Lane.
And we know...
Firefly Lane. Did I say Firefly Lane? Sorry.
It's Firefly Lane. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And we know you've all been watching it because it's the most popular show on Netflix.
Yeah. Like, I think this is one of those, like, partly it's popular for people who like it, and partly it's popular for people who are hate watching it.
Much the same as the Emily in Paris, isn't it? Really, right?
Yeah. Real like, and yet, I'm just like, spoiler alert. I got to the end of episode 2, and I was like, I'm gonna keep watching this.
You did, hey?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
how far did you get?
I have so many notes. Well, no, I didn't keep but like my commitment is that I actually am gonna keep watching it.
Okay.
And I have so many notes to myself of just like anger and incredulity and bafflement. And yet there is something compelling.
It sparked joy in your heart.
I can't say joy. That's not an emotion that I felt while watching this series, but fascination.
Wow, I am tapped out. Like, I could care less about anybody, anything.
Did you make it to the end of episode 2?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
no, I did. That rather cliffhanger of some funeral, which is supposed to make us think Tully's dead or something, but that wouldn't. It's a bit hard to hold on to that, considering we know there's 8 more episodes after that and a possible season 2. But
I feel 1,000% she's dead. Yeah, I think
pretty strong.
I think Tully's done and dusted. Katherine Heigl is a 1-season woman, and
really, what else has she got going? Because she was just on Suits, filling in for Meghan Markle. So,
well, no, I understand that, but like she, I think she only lasted 1 season on Suits as well.
Well, then it was canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't think that Katherine Heigl has more than a season in her.
I think I speak for everyone that I shall always be Izzy to me from Grey's Anatomy, and it's hard for me really to see her now doing this. But
I was saying to you earlier.
I'm sorry, but
as soon as I saw them switch to like a sepia tone childhood scene, I thought Lisa's out. Lisa's done. She hates nostalgia. She hates all of this.
Is that now? Because all right, should we talk about what it is first in case anyone doesn't know? Because I'm just I'm making abbreviated sentences.
Fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
all right,
That's fine.
All right.
I'm happy to do some background here. Firefly and Lane is an American drama created by Maggie Friedman for Netflix. Sorry, Maggie. The series is based on the novel of the same name by Christiansen. The series premiered February 3rd, 2021, and as we mentioned, stars Katherine Heigl, both of Grey's Anatomy and 27 Dresses fame, as Tully Hart, a famous host of a daytime talk show known as the Girlfriend Hour, and Sarah Chalke, North Vancouver, hometown girl from Scrubs and Roseanne, as Kate Malarkey. These are the dumbest names in the history of television. And Kate Malarkey, they've been best friends since they were 14 years old.
And I shall take on the synopsis. So, telling the decades-long story of two best friends, the drama dips and dives into different eras of their messy relationship, from their teenage years in the 70s, their college days in the 80s, and then each of their midlife crises in the mid-2000s. Nostalgia is alive and well. Named after the street they lived on as teens and where they met, the plot focuses on the enduring friendship of the two female protagonists. That's from today.com.
So, had either of you read the book?
Oh, no.
No.
I'd never heard of it in my life.
Me neither.
I saw it a couple of weeks ago when I was grocery shopping at the Superstore, and it was there with the new cover, obviously, with the two of them on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm a real sucker for books that center friendships between women, and I will go on so many journeys. Honestly, a lot of my love of Maeve Binchy is about the friendships between women. There's so many books.
My Brilliant Friend, which we didn't do, but
I've never actually read it or seen it yet.
Yeah,
I haven't delved into that, but I just this is normally kind of my catnip. And while I am into aspects of it,
and yet,
yeah, while I'm into aspects of it, it's weird because as you mentioned, AG, the sepia tones, right? And the needlessly convoluted timeline of jumping back and forth,
which apparently the book doesn't do. The book is straightforward, and they decided to do this for the miniseries.
Well, it makes it seem more interesting, so that the script doesn't have to be interesting, and that's such a cheaty, cheaty nonsense way.
Yeah, and they also probably didn't want to not introduce Katherine Heigl and Sarah Chalke until episode 14.
Yeah.
The story. Well, it was told linearly.
The weird part is, though, for me personally, even though I actually really like Sarah Chalke, and I don't mind Katherine Heigl at all. I think she gets a bit of a rough deal because she is a difficult person, allegedly. I think the people who are acting as their teenage selves are actually really good. And I like their dynamic together in the first two episodes. I like how they interact with each other. I like the young actors. They seem kind of very good. And even though there's there's damage happening there, I would rather hang out with them.
Oh, agreed. 100%. And their wardrobes were way better.
Totally. And their hair gets to be just normal hair.
So it took
me...
glasses. The glasses.
That's a little exaggerated.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's a whole lot. I don't know how she could breathe in those. It looked like it was tightening her nose.
Those glasses are 2021. We know that.
They are. The clear, the problem I had at the beginning is I didn't notice that there were 3 timelines going on at the same time, as I thought at first there were just 2. And then I was like, why does she keep changing her hair to go to work? And then we're doing 3 timelines, which I did find very confusing.
And we haven't even hit the 90s yet. We're going to have 4 timelines at some point because...
Oh, we skipped over from 80s to 2000s.
Yeah, we have to get to the 90s at some point.
Yeah, well, I get, that's true. And definitely the 70s is the most interesting in what's happening and getting to know these people, and then it just gets so drab. I'm baffled as to how they could treat Kate this way? Like, what is this dreary life? Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how did she move into this house and then it create a bubble and that she would never participate in any media ever again? Like, what is this outfit? She goes that mauve purple sweater set thing. Like, I don't understand what happened. What happened? I thought Tully was visiting her. She had a husband who works in media. Like, I just don't I'm so confused as to who this is working for. Sorry, that was my rant right there, because it was making me so angry.
I agree with you. Like, I mean, basically, like, by the tenets of this film and the reality of this film or this TV series is like Tully and Kate's husband can go off and make a TV show together, become each like sort of like amazingly successful in their chosen fields. But Kate, because she has a child, is sentenced to 14 years of hard labor at home, where she's not in any way. All she does is like watch her best friend and husband's TV show during the day and then pick her child up from school. And
exactly how much laundry do two people make? Because her husband's not even living there anymore.
Oh, it's
like, what is she doing?
This is one of those TV shows that kind of like hates women.
It feels like
because it's also too like the whole Spanx scene.
Oh my god!
She's not.
I know. It's like, do you know what Spanx are for?
And who they're for? And
you don't need to wear Spanx.
Like, even if you have the most body dysmorphia of anyone in the history of society, you just like no.
So not at any point in this 14 years of them being together did she ever have to go to a movie premiere? Did she ever have to go to some function where she dressed up? No, she just stayed at home straight 365 days of the year. Tully never invited her out. She's never bought any clothes. She's never bought a bra. Like, she has nothing, like zero.
Yeah, she thinks thongs are actually a series of small straps that are crotchless, and God. But I don't think the show likes Tully that much better, even though they're really trying to make like Tully Hart, like the number of times, like take a drink every time you have to say her whole name. Like, come on. It's not like, it's ridiculous. It's completely obscene. but just the whole, like, she's so wild and confident, but she's definitely a sad girl. Like the stereotypes are so
I know. And her
awful.
brother, he'd never told her he was gay. That does not even make sense at all. Like, nothing about that.
Well,
because then they're setting her up to be homophobic or something. Well, is that where we're going with this? I don't understand that either.
I'm worried that it's going to try and take on the AIDS crisis. Like, I just don't think this show is equipped for that at all. But just like Tully is the wise person that can like understand people's nuances and secrets, and Kate is this like golden child that everyone keeps everything from, but also like dumps all their problems on, and like
it's all very confusing.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, I just don't even have I have no sense of how anyone ended up anywhere. I mean, I know that comes later, but still, shouldn't I like have any, but I don't know how they end up with those jobs. I don't know how they don't have those jobs. Like, I don't
But so, like, why do you think this is the number one show on Netflix?
Well, I mean, one time I did hear that, a doctor say that if people are surprised that there are people go to Goop, it's because there's not a lot of information for women out there about their own bodies. And that's very frustrating. So women go to Goop and they take on really weird ideas. There aren't a lot of female stories like this. Like you said, it's usually, like catnip for you because it's rare. It's rare. You don't have catnip all the time. So having a female friendship show, I think it's rare to see. And I think that's what people wanted. And that's kind of what Emily in Paris had going for it as well.
Yeah, I think it promises to be something that it doesn't deliver on at all. And like, it's never really funny. I laughed once, which was nice, but like that was a hard one laugh. Like the line deliveries are really flat and kind of terrible. But like, and you don't really understand like how these women are actual friends rather than sort of like deeply codependent people who've needed therapy like for 40 years, you know, like they like that, like it's, and I think like, you know, those complicated things. And I mean, I think, I hate to say it, but like there are elements of the worst parts of these characters where I can see like some of my own worst parts like reflected back at me, right? Like the the most panicky feelings you have about yourself are on screen in this show, and those are not just like aspects of a character. That is what these characters are. Like they don't get to be full-fledged people. They just get to be like, you know, skin and neuroses and bone and stereotypes. Like that's all they really sort of get to be. There's not a lot of like nuance there. So it's kind of like reflecting back to you the worst version of what what your friendship could be, and yet still like reflecting also, I think, the honesty that there is like a lot of women feel deep loneliness, you know, and feel even like extremely deep loneliness in their friendships, because sometimes we just end up in friendships that aren't very good for us, or like we're not, you know, we're not sort of like we don't have the sort of communication skill set to navigate the hard truths sometimes, or the ugliness, or the things that we do. Like, I mean, just the fact that they set up this whole thing to be like that Johnny is this like weird person in both of their lives in this really gross way. I was so frustrated at the end of episode 1 when he shows up at Tully's, and we understand that like him and Tully have had this like apparently like, you know, 20-year long sort of flirtation in the background of what is supposed to be her best friend and her best friend's husband, but he's also her producer, and he's the one who has like believed in her and like, you know, made the Tully Hart thing happen, which is, I think, it can be like a pretty addictive relationship, I think, if you're, you know, someone who needs your ego stroked all the time, which it seems Tully is. But like that, yet again, it's another show about two women fighting over a man. Like,
yeah, and it doesn't, and that line that she has, like, people like us, you know, and I'm like,
God,
there has been nothing to suggest you're anything but very boring.
Yes.
Very basic. I have seen you do nothing out of the ordinary yet.
But so people are lumping the show in with, you know, like you said, Emily in Paris, but also there's a show called Sweet Magnolias on Netflix. I
haven't watched that, but I've watched Virgin River.
Virgin River, yeah. As like these like ambient dramas that are made by Netflix so that you can just keep watching and keep watching and keep watching. And it's kind of like harmless, kind of hammy acting.
Well, I think that's really a kind of like an unfair thing to do to these kinds of shows. They're all quite different, right? That's not, you know, like Virgin River is more like Northern Exposure in a way, right? Because it's like instead of a doctor on Northern Exposure, it's about a woman who's a nurse, and she's running from like her husband and her child died. So she's gone to try and start a new life somewhere else, and meets all the people in this town. How is that anything like Kate and Tully? It's not at all. Like, but just because they're women-centric shows, they get called, they're all similar.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You know, and that, you know, I'm sure I could argue that why do we need hockey, basketball, and baseball?
Well, I mean, it's different sized balls, Lisa, obviously.
Oh, yeah, okay, they're completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah, some sports don't need really tall, athletic men. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't watched Steel Magnolias, but even Emily in Paris, that's very different than this.
Sweet Magnolias.
What did I call it?
Steel Magnolias.
Oh, yes. Steel cutouts. I haven't watched that other one, but even Emily in Paris is nothing like this at all. Like nothing. So that's a very strange comparison. I have to say, the one time I did laugh, and then that turned into me wondering if this was an anachronism, is when Kate gets a job with that supposedly another terrible female character, some flighty editor of Kimber. Yeah. And Kimber brings her dog to work, and the dog's name is Joan Didion. So that made me laugh.
I also noted that made me laugh as well. But
when 2003, I don't think 30-year-olds were talking about Joan Didion. That's been very recent.
That's the thing. Like there are, I had no idea that it was supposed to be 2003 until they kept emphasizing that it's 2003.
That's what I was
if you need to tell me 17 times that it's 2003.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even know, 2003, was that like a big year for online date? Like what would have...
I mean, it was like, well, I met Carlos online in 2006, and that was considered early. 2003, people were doing online dating for sure. I know that they were. Okay. But like it was much it was much weirder.
So can we talk about the filming and the setting of this movie? Because it was filmed
where we work,
partially in the CBC building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Specifically in the offices where we used to work. Mm-hmm. And Andrea Warner and I were actually like coming back from a coffee one day when they were filming in the building.
Oh yeah.
And Sarah Chalk was like in full costume with the feathered bangs and stuff, and we came like, she was coming out of the elevator and we came face to face, and I remember instantly thinking like, oh, that's an interesting look, because I didn't realize she was an actor in costume.
Should she be on roller skates?
And it was like, yeah, that's it, someone's really going for it. And then like as soon as we got into the elevator, A-Dubs was like, that's Sarah Chalky. And now that I see this thing, I was like, oh, she's in her full 70s look.
Full 70s look. No, that one is 80s. Yes, it's supposed to be, I guess, like
70s is the 70s
flashback.
Is
the kids, and right. So that's 80. Yeah, okay. I mean, our old office space is certainly perfect background
Subbing
for this.
Drab.
A drab. They describe it so many times as a dump in the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't even
it's
know
relatively new.
The magic that has happened in that building. How dare you?
Well, that one long hallway. Gee, I saw our graffiti door. Did you notice? Yeah.
But I just okay. So we're all journalists in our own way. AG, you're also a producer. I mean, like I just...
Did any of this ring true? Is that what you're trying to say?
Does anyone who wrote this, have they ever touched a newsroom door even? Like, or a magazine door? Like they don't... I feel like they've never... The number of times I had to hear someone say about the death of journalism... Woe is me. Like in the 80s, no one was worrying about the death of journalism.
And also, there's nobody working there. During that time, it was peak hundreds of people. I don't understand. Like there's very few people. Like when they have that party, that sad party.
It's just six people and a bowl of Coke, or five people and a bowl of Coke. Yeah.
Nobody, did they not have money to pay other people to come? Like that would have...
For like a daily show, it's
a daily show. It's a huge staff. I've seen this. We've all worked on these shows, right? Like, and that was peak when people had tons of money, for shows.
Yeah.
It all went to Tully's apartment.
But both of them live in these incredible homes, right? Like,
yeah.
Both of them live in these ridiculous, incredible homes. They both allegedly live in Seattle, which, I mean, just the idea...
How many times can you see the Space Needle? Is that what you were going to say?
Just the idea that you can, have a national talk show of that level of importance filmed in Seattle is... I mean, that's cute. But I just was like, on what planet...
And also, why Seattle? Why would you? Why?
I guess the book is... I guess the Vancouver thing. I don't know. Or maybe the books. I don't know. But but also if they start out So like if they go to journalism school, which we haven't seen yet, maybe they do at some point. When Kate says in the second episode to Johnny, whom like, can I just say, bleh, Johnny, bleh. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep saying that because I just, oh god. And anyway,
well, it was better when he got his hair cut at least, but
better, but not great.
No.
But when Kate says to him, it's the first whole story I've ever written. This girl just got out of journalism school. She graduated from college. Her and Tully were in college together. This is not the first story she's ever written. She had 4 years.
And what
school.
Story? For what? What is she doing?
They're a news magazine. Yeah, I don't know. There's not like they don't have an online component.
We're watching women do aerobics and play CDs. Like I don't understand what she's writing.
I have no idea. No idea.
And then when she gets that job, like that assistant job
to Kimber,
I don't even know what she does. And why would you want to write in a scene about squeezing a dog's anal glands? It was almost animal cruelty. It was so awful.
But I also feel like it's another one of those shows where they have to tell you like, oh, this person is supposed to be more attractive than this other person.
I know.
Because they're
constantly telling you that she's
because she's wearing glasses and stuff. And you're just like,
and that incredible purple sweater thing and that black she actually made Pam on The Office look dressy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's saying something.
And like it's like, I mean, fine, whatever, like you can make it work, but like I guess at the very least do up the cardigan, like just like pull yourself at just like one tiny bit, but like even regardless of that, like I just the constant like having to tell us that Tully is so dynamic and so compelling and so like good at her job and like she's like just this force, like so. And I say this as someone who actually I genuinely do like Katherine Heigl in specific roles. I thought she was fine on Grey's, but like what works for her I think is to like really own her her steeliness. Like she is not a super likable person for whatever, like that's like the image she projects, right? Like yes,
on screen. She does not
like there is no chemistry between her and Sarah Chalke. Like
no,
I have seen Sarah Chalke like. I mean, Sarah Chalke makes Zach Braff seem adorable. Like that is skill, right? Like she knows what she's doing. She's like second Becky and she's able to be two Becky. Like, I mean, like you can have two Beckys and she makes it work. So, like I just don't think you can cast Katherine Heigl in this kind of role and that's it. Like she can, I just don't feel it, like it doesn't work for me.
I just don't even know what it's about, to be honest with you. These two people that meet as friends, there's so much missing in the storytelling. And I know it's because we have to watch 8 more episodes.
Well, yeah, that's what I was reading, that like after episode 4, it really gets good and you really get into it.
Oh, okay.
But it seems like Andrea Warner might be the only one of us that gets there.
Well, here's the thing. Like I was realizing okay, this is going to sound terrible. But I sometimes just like get busy and forget about stuff. So I've still not finished Queen's Gambit. I still haven't finished Bridgerton. But I think I'm actually going to finish this. Like, and what does that say about me, right? Like, I mean, I am going to, is it self-loathing or is it because it's like, it's not, I think the ambient thing is like, it's the framing of it when it compares itself to, or when the writer compares it to Emily in Paris, Sweet Magnolias, and Virgin River, it takes on this tone of like, kind of like a really sexist framing. But if we instead sort of think about it as like, we're just sort of peering into these people's lives and we can do it from it. We're not sucked in because we don't have the capacity to be sucked in right now, but we can watch it with one eye on the TV and one eye doing like our games or our cross stitching or like whatever, or folding all my laundry. You know, like Kate, I have 7,000 loads of laundry that I'm constantly folding on a Saturday night. That's just who I am now as a woman. You know,
but yeah, I think that's yeah. But I think that's what's meant by like ambient drama is just something exactly what you said, like that you don't have to concentrate on watching. You can be doing other things.
But they do that all the time. But they say that all the time. I do think there is something sexist in it though, where they say it about women's shows or quote unquote women's shows, you know, like they're not like, it's not like, they're not like, because if it was like quote unquote a man's show, it would be considered like, it has to be a prestige drama. A prestige drama. Yeah. Like there's not like a
Mad Men's a very serious show. The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, very serious shows.
Well, they have different. They're built for like. I think they are built.
But to be fair, Lisa, you like those shows and you hate this show.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that. No, I don't. But there's lots of reasons I don't like it. But that's not because I would call it an ambient drama. I just think it's just not like. It rings all the wrong notes for me about women and storytelling, and so all those things.
I don't think it likes women that much, but I think there could be a window for like a lot of different women, but like I feel like it would be like a lot of women working through their own internalized misogyny and sexism and like their place in the world and the patriarchy.
It's just
that's kind of it, and it's not smart enough to do that work.
Yeah, but also when you brought up that, you know, working in journalism, and I have children and I have friends, even then, none of this rang true. I managed to do laundry, and I managed to do all kinds of things and still work, and, you know, and none of this made sense to me. You know, it's just none of it.
It's so flat because like it presents like this one woman. You can either be, again, that age old blah, blah, blah. Like you can either be hugely successful and deeply broken, or you can have a family and be deeply resentful of the life that you don't have, you know, or the success you don't have and like the external validation. And
well, those are definitely the two stereotypes, because they have that conversation. You know, like, I don't know if it was episode 1 or episode 2 where, you know, they're talking about like, you know, do you regret not having a child or do you regret having a child and staying home and for 14 years or whatever. And so
for 14 years, like what was she? Anyway. Okay. I'm gonna have to let that one go.
I'm
pulling out that dusty book bag. Like what? Like you couldn't afford to go and buy a new bag?
Well, like,
and not one time in your life did you say to your husband, I'm going to just do some shopping, you know?
I was so curious, like, so AG, as a producer, so you're the Johnny of this particular scenario.
Wow.
Yeah, that's who I related to the most.
I know, I knew it.
Obviously, you're Tully then, and I'm Kate, so thanks.
I related to Mutt. That's my stage name today. I thought Mutt seemed like the nicest person in the whole crew and had the most character development. I know what he's all about. He has crushes on people, and he's fine being shirtless. And he's just like
peeing in an office.
Look, who hasn't gotten a little blitz out of their brain and been like, "Oh, this isn't a bathroom. This is not a toilet. The office is a dump. Every room's a toilet." You know, that's like Mutt. He and I we're copacetic. Anyway, but like as a producer, AJ, you know, in terms of sort of developing talent, like is Tully Hart the like what would you like? Is there something dynamic about her that like I'm not recognizing or that Lisa's not recognizing? Like what's happening here from your perspective?
I think it's that thing I was talking about earlier where you're supposed to like you're told that Tully is super attractive and so Like, I think, and that, you know, like Sarah Chalk is not, or her character, Kate.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think we're supposed to believe that Tully's this like gorgeous, glamorous star that always had a quality about her that was going to make her a superstar. And I think we're supposed to expect that, like, he saw that in her very young, like, discovered her that talent, and, you know, basically has built his entire career on it. But I don't think, like, you know, like, it's not, there's not a great deal of work put into making her seem, because, like, if she's like an Oprah type character, we don't see it. We don't see like the amazing
don't see
connection.
her working ever, except for that one editing scene too. I know, and if you want to show us a train wreck, show us Flight Attendant. I mean, that's a train wreck.
Flight Attendant is the antithesis of Firefly Lane, I will say.
Yeah, and just that, like, I didn't see even Tully acting that. Picks up a guy in a bar. Like, so basic. Like, that is, you know.
I mean, and essentially, she picks up a guy in a bar who is 14 years younger than her, is prepared to worship her immediately, grew up loving her stuff, and just wants desperately to please her sexually. And so Tully really does seem to get everything she wants, but she still is deeply depressed, hates herself, and has, you know, obviously suicidal ideation. Like, you know, like when we see her sort of lean off the balcony, and we're meant to sort of like have that be a, you know, a grim foreshadowing of what's to come, I suppose. And I get, like, this is
you know nothing of the ending, and you're like so convinced she's dead.
Well, I like honestly, her or Johnny, I don't care which one of them's dead. One of them's dead. Like, and I, you know, obviously Johnny, if he's going back to be like a war correspondent, like for 100%, there's a chance that he's dead. And that like Tully and him have somehow like finally gotten together. So two things I just say, like, cause I watched this with Carlos. He was suggesting that perhaps Johnny is an Eternal, and there's a version of him that shows up in each timeline because all the white men look like him. And so he was fascinating. He was proposing that Johnny exists in all the timelines.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that's a better version of this show immediately.
Yeah.
But two, he said also, he's like, so if this ends in like just like a polyamorous throuple, that's not the worst. That's not the worst case scenario for this show. And I said, honestly, if it ended like that, I'd be fine with it. I think they can both do better than Johnny, but like, fine. Like if that's what works. And like, honestly, sometimes that is what works. That's great. Because
we have tips of that. Like the Johnny was because he said that Kate had been exchanging emails with the.
Well, no, that like Kate had been flirting with the PTA guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And
they all seem to parent the daughter.
Yeah, they already parent the daughter, and like I do think that there is an attraction between Kate and Tully that they would just never acknowledge because like it's a super heteronormative show. But like, you know, just like a throuple is sometimes the best solution, and but this show would never do that. I know that. But
I don't think I've ever seen a show quite like that. So I would look forward to that, though.
It'd be so great. Because honestly, you'd get around a lot of the stuff that's problematic in this show. And I understand why it's compared to Beaches. Like, I understand the comparisons.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, like, I understand its comparisons to Beaches. Because, again, like, it's a man that comes between these two women. And, like, their friendship is very complicated. And it's, you know, it is rooted in this, like, foundation of childhood, you know, honesty and declaration and sort of like secrets that you share that you then think like sort of mean everything. But as you get older, you understand that like most of the secrets you had when you were a kid don't really like, they're not as important as the ones you maybe hold when you're older. So like it's harder, but they just don't seem like very
Tully
good.
has a very traumatic that rape scene is Tully. Sorry, yeah,
it's super traumatic. It's very traumatic, and I think that they actually do a fairly good job. And that's like I think the young actresses do such a great job. But I mean, they just don't seem like they're very good. Like they're not very good friends to each other.
No.
Yeah,
no.
You know, like we haven't.
At some point, Tully should have been helping Kate like taking her out or like for lunch even. Like it sounds like Kate's never gone out of the house.
It's been 14 years of Tully just showing up and bringing brunch and mimosas on a Saturday.
Can I just also say that was another super depressing thing about this Kate is that not only is everything about her depressing, she also has a terrible relationship with her daughter. Like, how thick do they want this laid on?
Pretty thick.
Yeah, like, that's a really weird way to write that character, because if she's so invested in motherhood, you think they would be like the Gilmore Girls or something.
Or they would have something, but the way that this daughter hates her mother so much and won't talk to her about anything, and then you're just like, okay, so what? Let's make a list of the things that Kate has to even bother getting up for in the morning. Like zero.
Well, she has a very famous best friend. I don't know if you have you heard of Tully Hart? Have you heard of Tully Hart?
She's hardly Gayle King, I'll tell you that much, because if she was, somebody would have got her a job.
Well, that's okay. So there's the other wild part for me is just like, if they are this dream team, and then I'm guessing that Kate's pregnancy sidelines her and she decides she wants to stay home, gosh. Which again, fine. Like if you want to stay home and raise a kid, cool. Like I hope that's your choice. And I hope that everyone should be able to have that choice to like make. Mm-hmm. But like when she decides that she wants to work again, like she very specifically does not, even though she worked with Tully and has that on her resume, she doesn't at all, sort of like see if there's a job on Tully's show. Like she doesn't like.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing too. Like, why doesn't she just get her a job? Yeah, on Tully's show.
Well, because there's nobody that works on her show, so obviously there's no available positions at all.
The 80s show for sure. This one seemed to have, at least they have an audience in the 2000s, but I just don't understand. And I guess if like Kate wants to make it on her own and it's awkward because of the husband separation and like he's going to possibly go have a job in New York. Like I get that we sort of have clues as to these things, but like we
and how she comes to that job interview so ill prepared. Like it made no sense.
Well, but there's just so many things about all of it that make no sense. And it's not, and it's like not ultimately fair to the characters of Kate or Tully that the show is so underwritten. Mm-hmm. Like they
agreed.
They kind of screw us with the timeline jumps because again, they're sort of thinking that makes the show more interesting, but it doesn't, because all it does is show how weak so many other parts of the show are, because it's raising a bunch of questions that we never get answered in any kind of like fulfilling way. And it's really hinging on these sort of like small moments of shock and awe, like getting to the end of episode 1 and Johnny shows up at Tully's door and wants like a bed for the night or whatever. And then at the end of episode 2, surprise, someone's dead. Tune in next time to find out, like that kind of stuff. Like you can't just like I don't know. I think like you need to do better work. And I say that as someone who's currently rewatching You with my grandma. Remember that show?
Oh, I love that though.
Well, I know that's the thing. Like
I hated that show.
I loved it so much.
I loved it. I love both seasons.
I love both seasons as well. And Grandma super addicted. Like we're already 2 episodes from the end of season 2. Yeah. And Grandma just keeps being like, what is happening? And she's just this is like bizarre. But like, and I mean, I'm not saying that show, obviously that show is like, its misogyny is the point. Like that's what it's playing with. Like, but it's not pretending to like women. Like the way Firefly Lane is like, we like women. We're like, no, you like stereotypes of women. And like, I'm a little tired of stereotypes of women, like it's and yet here I am. I know I'm going to watch
everybody else. So.
I know I'm going to watch the whole damn thing.
Well, you know what you can do? Report back to us next episode how far you got, and I look.
Well, I mean, at least tell us if you're right about Tully dying.
I do think it could be Johnny or Tully, but I just think it's for sure one of them.
Well, maybe.
And if it's going to go in the Beaches vein, it's got to be Tully.
Maybe you should
then
watch
what are they doing for the next 10 episodes? It could be all flashbacks from before that moment? Because I don't even know what time.
And flash forwards.
Because it said 2 years, so now it's only 2005 at the end of this.
Yeah, so
right?
this show technically spans, 1974 to 2005?
Yeah,
so
I guess.
It's technically 41 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
but maybe you should just keep watching it and keep giving us all updates.
Yeah.
We'll put on the podcast.
Would love to.
Yeah. The rest of us don't have to keep watching it.
Imagine that I begin the spring of 2021 as your personal Firefly Lane correspondent?
You know...
Like,
you were the one who bragged about your journalism skills. So
I was just gonna say, this is the death of journalism right here, guys. This is.
We've been looking for the final one.
They kept talking about it. Do you think any of them even has ever does anyone there know the word journalist or journalism? Do you think? I have a really hard time with all Tully wanted to do was be famous.
Do you think they watch broadcast news? Is what you're saying? Because that was a movie about journalism that was really about journalism, and that was a great movie.
Anyone who wrote this show has ever set foot near a journalist.
Yeah, that's going to be my guess.
Because we are both a sadder and
Sarah Chalky
more interesting people
right into us out of an elevator.
Well, sure. I mean, they in the building, but really, you're right. But she never held my hand. And really felt my journalist soul.
And spent and got embedded with you for 4 weeks to really learn the craft.
Can you imagine? the craft of music journalism?
Yeah.
What a joke. No, I mean, I love the journalism that I do, but this idea that and I guess this is also insulting, and it's another sort of gendered kind of thing, is that the girlfriend talk show is less than and the death of journalism. Because it's the premise of the talk show, the host hates the talk show itself, which I understand to a certain extent. But they're constantly comparing it to the only good journalism is embedded war journalism.
Yeah,
no, come on.
I know.
You know what? Go, honestly, just go stroke a gun. Come on.
And you know what? If it was 2002... or 3 when she's working in that office, everybody would have been writing 10,000 words on Britney Spears' virginity. So, what?
Look, if I wasn't producing Pop This, I would for sure be overseas doing some kind of wartime journalism.
Of course you would be. Yeah.
For sure.
That's the only authentic journalism.
Yeah.
Is journalism of conflict.
For it, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I these constant ideas of what holds value, what has value. And I understand we've spent almost an hour crapping on this show. But I think that there's still people can watch whatever they want and find entertainment value in whatever they want. But these sort of ideas that only that shows like this that pretend to be about centering women's stories continue to contribute within the stories to the stereotyping and minimalizing of women's experiences that don't want to confront their own misogyny and their own complicity in inherent misogyny. I just what are y'all doing? As writers, what are these folks doing? So it depresses me a little bit. And yet,
yes,
totally gonna watch it.
So,
and the show is so successful, it'll totally have more seasons.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What if this time, Katherine Heigl's Tully gets to be the ghost instead of Denny and Izzy and Ghost Denny? This time, Tully gets to just be a ghost that haunts Kate going forward.
I think that is much more interesting.
Touched by an angel kind of vibe.
I would enjoy that. I think.
I would too.
Yeah. So I'm just going to jump right in and say, not pop. No pops from me. No sepia pops. No 2003 pops. No 1980s feathered hair cocaine binge pops. No pops.
Wow. Not even a cocaine binge pop? Jeez, Lisa.
Well, I wish I was on one to watch it. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I even took half an edible and it didn't help. So the only things that pop for me in this. And the show, no. And overall, no pops. But I do think that the young actors that play young Tully and young Kate are great. And I mean, I would watch yes, I'm going to watch the whole thing, but I would also watch like a cut where it's like just their story.
I have started now just to have all my memories in sepia. So
thank God, finally.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
So we do love to end our episodes on something we recommend. And Lisa, would you like to go first?
Sure. So I think people listening, regular listeners to the podcast, will know that I'm on my quest to read 50 books this year. I just finished book 10.
Way to go.
Yeah. And now I am on to book 11. And what's been interesting is I am trying to like read a lot of different kinds of books. So my friend Bridget, a Pop This alumni. I was at her house looking through her book collection, and she lent me, I don't know why I'm holding it up because nobody else can see it except you two, and it's backwards, so that's not helpful. Jean-Paul Sartre, The Chips Are Down.
So you just light reading a little Jean-Paul Sartre.
Well, it actually is not. It is only 187 pages and with extremely odd typesetting and big print. So I think I'm going to whip through this one, and I will have 11. So I'm not saying I'm just counting things. But anyway, so far, it is she said it's a book that's haunted her for her whole life.
Wow.
And so it's written in the mid-'60s, and a man and woman have just died. And as, I don't know, it kind of depresses me a little bit, but perhaps we all think this way. They've gone to some kind of afterlife that's very bureaucratic. Why do we always think of the afterlife as so bureaucratic?
Remember with like
forms to fill out?
In Beetlejuice, it's both like it's just absolutely wild and bureaucratic. And I love that combination.
Yeah. Well, okay. But anyway, so, it's like, and it's also very French. So once they found out they're dead, they just have to go to this lane and they wait for a little bell to ring, like on a shop, like when you open the door. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's very French as well, right? And then you go in and they're like, well, and you're dead. And some people are disappointed and some people aren't. And you get to find out how you died. And then you go off and to just sort of hang out. So I hope there's more to it than that, but that's where I am so far.
Honestly, it sounds pretty great. Light pandemic reading, Lisa.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if this is the time to read a book that will haunt you for the rest of your life, potentially.
Well, all roads seem to have left me here, and I'm okay with that.
Great.
So, yeah.
Great. I love it. Well, that sounds great, and I want to know more about how you feel after.
Sure.
AG, how about you?
So I'm recommending something super the opposite. I've started watching Superstore on Netflix with America Ferrera. It's so funny. It didn't seem that appealing to me when I've been like looking at stuff on Netflix, but like I just watched it for fun one day, and it's so well written, and
I quite like it too.
Yeah.
And the lighting, they got the lighting down. It is that horrible lighting in those giant box stores. I'm impressed that they did that one detail.
Well, it turns out like a Superstore is a great setting for a show.
Yeah. That's awesome. I've heard nothing but great things about it, and I know that it's ending this year. So it was gonna go. I was gonna recommend that we should like try and tackle it somehow, but I haven't ever watched it before, so I don't know what the best way will be. But we can plan that off.
Yeah, it's if you need a good laugh, you're guaranteed like watch that show.
It is very funny.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I am going to I always recommend books or TV or trailers lately. Today I'm going to recommend a dress that I ordered for myself.
I was hoping for a recipe, but okay.
Yeah, it's from Tuesday of California. They make clothes from like extra, extra small to 6X. So they have like a really inclusive range of sizes, and they had a special sale. And so I could finally sort of treat myself to this dress, which like I normally would not spend this much on a dress, particularly when we're not leaving our home. But I'm going to show it to you guys. It's called the rodeo dress. And I got the black and white.
Oh, nice!
Oh,
it's so cute, and I'm so excited.
That is summer frock. That is amazing.
I think it's gonna be a really fun summer frock. Yeah, it's got pockets and like it's somehow, just adorable.
Like, you look really good. I could picture you looking really good in rodeo styles.
Thank you. I don't have any cowboy boots, but I will.
Wow, you're really gonna go for it?
No,
hey?
I probably won't, because cowboy boots, like, I just find they never fit my calves. Like, my calves are just too wide for cowboy boots.
I was imagining you doing your hair Loretta Lynn style.
That would be super cute. Actually, that would be great. I do have little like other booties, but I wear a lot of sneakers with my dresses, so I'm fine with that. It's okay. But what I'm like really looking forward to like pairing it with my little denim jacket and then just looking adorable. And friend of the podcast, Sanara Geisler, also has this rodeo dress, but in a gingham. So I hope that like I haven't told her yet that I bought it, but like I hope that you're
out together and it's all who wore it best.
Twin, like it'll be the same style, but like such different colors that people might not even notice that they're like actually the same dress, because like hers is like this red check gingham and mine is black and white polka dots, but they both have like the same ruffles and the same flounce. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice.
Well, excellent.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, I was the downer here with the chips are down, but
no, I love it. I love it.
Can't help it.
No.
Yeah.
Stay true. Stay true to what you're reading and never shy away from it. Honestly, in Firefly Lane probably could be like a bit of a downer too. So, or like maybe people just be like, they really spent an hour just like crapping on this thing that I love. Sorry, folks. Tell us why you love it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Work through.
That was the other working title we had for the podcast.
Tell us why you love it.
No, we crap on things you love.
The number of times people have said to me, "Oh, you're doing this movie and I love it. Should I listen?" And I'm like, you can still listen. Like, it's okay.
Disagree with us. Write us a letter. Let us know.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Make an argument. We're there for it.
I guess, like, yeah, I understand. Sometimes you love something, you don't want to hear anything bad about it at all. But, like, I love to really, like, critically analyze things that I adore. But I
agree. I like that.
I don't know. Yeah. I love it.
This is not one of these moments. So.
No. But a pleasure talking about it with both of you. Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to your Firefly column next week.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
Can't wait. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. You can hang out with us online on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You could rate and review us 5 stars on Apple, iTunes. And what else could you do? Oh, yeah. You could stream us on Spotify if you wanted to.
Woohoo! And thanks again, as always, to Andrea Gin, our co-host and producer. It's a pleasure spending this pandemic with you all. Whoever could be forever. Who knows?
No.
Don't know.
Vaccines are on the horizon. Don't worry.
There you go. Yay!
Grandma got her vaccine a couple weeks ago.
Oh, great.
So did my sister.
Yay!
Oh. She's a healthcare worker.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And my mom is calling to get herself an appointment this week.
So exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Good news.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.